Right, and now I'm going to hand over to our runners in just a moment so that they can introduce themselves and let us know what's going to be going on with this run. So yeah, thanks very much. Excited for that.
All right. Welcome to Ori and the Blind Forest. All skills. 2Kill will be running this game. It's an awesome Metroidvania. I'm sure a lot of you in the chat know it. 2Kill, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Tukil. I mainly just watch Ori, so I'm very excited to also showcase it. And yeah, I came into the Celeste community commentating an Ori and the Blind Forest race 3 years ago, so we are going full circle today, and I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, and my name is Liftoff. I'm also an Ori community member. I don't really speedrun the game, but I play a lot of randomizer, and I've also dabbled in the Celeste community a bit. I've mapped a bit, but nothing huge. But yeah, I'm very excited to bring this, in my opinion, very cool game to this awesome event, and to help raise some money for a good cause.
Thank you very much. And I don't know if both of you saw while you were getting set up, but we did get that waterfall incentive meet in the few minutes before this run starts. So that's really awesome. I'm excited that you were able to showcase that. If you'd like, commentator, would you like to give us a bit of a countdown for when the run's going to be able to start so that we can get into things then?
Sure. Going to give a 5-second countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good luck.
Yeah, and we're starting out with the most important time save of the entire thing. Also saves us a lot of feels. I don't know if any of you have played Ori and the Blind Forest, then you probably remember the prologue, and yeah, we're just skipping over all of that.
Yeah, it's a very sad 10 minutes, so saving both 10 minutes and saving the sadness makes it an ideal speedrun strat. So this run is Ori and the Blind Forest all skills, which means the skills in this game are collected at skill trees, 9 of them, as well as 1 feather pickup and 1 glowy light orb called Sign that we're on the way over here. And we have to collect all of them and then finish the game to follow the restrictions of this category. And this is the Sign pickup. Sign is the guide through the game. Casually tells you a lot about the game. We're not going to be seeing any of it, hopefully, because if you turn off the UI, which 2Kill will be doing a lot, we're going to be skipping all dialogue as fast as you basically theoretically could. So the goal is to always have the UI off. Sign also allows us to attack, which is what we're going to be seeing here. The combat is not the focus of this game. It's basically you're just mashing a button, and then this orb shoots out light at enemies, and then they die. So yeah, but it's much more of a movement and traversal game. And this was the first of our skills that we're collecting. And now that we have Sign, we're going to be heading over to like the first real movement ability, which is wall jump.
Yep. I'm going to also try and kill certain enemies, but also avoid picking up some of their XP. We will see all about the XP management later, but for now, I'm setting up for our next trick, which is just a very tiny optimization, but it looks very cool.
The first trick, I guess, in the game is a trick called Ghost Door, and it's basically 2Kill is taking intentional damage here, 1 damage off the slime that he just killed, and another one here, which leaves us as 1 HP. So what we're going to do is we've picked up 2 keystones. They go into this door down here. After placing them in, saving and dying, and then when we respawn, the door is open, and we skip the animation of the door opening. Saves about 5 seconds. Not huge, but it's pretty much free to execute, so why not? Up here, we're picking up the first health cell of the run. We're technically, you don't need any to pick up any in the route that we're doing, which is the waterfall, because the incentive was met, but we're still going to be picking them up just for marathon safety. Otherwise, there would be a lot of late game hazards that would simply one-shot us, and that's not a great time.
Yeah, just having the marathon safety is also very nice.
Yeah. Here we're going to be picking up one keystone. This keystone is intended to be for the keystone door just above here. We're going to be using it somewhere entirely different. It's going to be a while until it comes up again, and it involves a cup, and it involves, I think, what I would call the biggest sequence break in the run. But first, we're going to be picking up wall jump that allows us to scale walls, fairly intuitive, and also dash, which we could pick up later, but it's dash. It makes you go fast, so we want to pick it up as soon as we can. And we need wall jump for it, so basically as soon as we have wall jump, we'll be beelining straight there. And then we're going to be sequence breaking over to other powerful abilities that really unlock the movement that makes this game so awesome. Yeah, this is a skill tree. This is how they look. You're going to be seeing a lot of them, and we have to collect all of them in the game, all 9, to have a legit run.
Yeah, we're also picking up energy. So energy is especially important in the later part of the game. For now, it's just important for one of the big sequence breaks that Liftov mentioned, that I have 2 of them. So just preparing for that as we're heading back around.
Yeah, basically we're going to be heading to where we started the game. That is there. Once you have wall jump, you can access it in an area that's maybe not the most intuitive that you can access because it's super dark. And I know a lot of people skipped it early because they thought they had to find a light source first. But you can actually go there if you know what you're doing. The moment you have a way to interact with walls. And wall jump is exactly that. So we're basically returning to the start of the game, heading down to the spirit wells. Spirit wells act as save points where you can refill your health and your energy, but they're also warp points. So once we unlock more of them, we'll be using them to eliminate some of the backtracking. This is a Metroidvania. We'll have to do some of it still. And yeah, here we're setting up for one of the big minor glitches, I guess. It's called a save anywhere. Basically what you do is you manage to get movement control of Ori while the level up menu is up, and then you walk into a cutscene, save the game by leveling an ability, and then reload the game, and then you've skipped the cutscene. And we need ability points for that, because every time you use that, it takes an ability point. So that's part of why the XP route of this run is fairly important. We have to route where we get our abilities from to be able to skip cutscenes and stuff. Yeah, this is a fairly slow section of the run. We just picked up this orb, and now we're basically going to be backtracking and doing a lot of cycle shenanigans. So this would be a good point for some donations if you have any cactus.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to take this time to tell you a bit more about the great work that Point of Pride do. So Point of Pride have programs that provide free gender-affirming clothing, so that's free chest binders and shapewear to trans people who can't otherwise afford them or safely obtain them. And at this point, Point of Pride has donated over 29,500 of these items of clothing to trans people in need. So that's just some of the really great programs that the donations that we're all getting in today are going towards helping funding. So thanks again for all the donors so far. And yeah, keep them coming in so we can help Point of Pride continue to do the great work that they're doing. Thanks for that.
Awesome to hear. Such great work. Okay, we're coming up on the ending of our first visit to Blackroot Burrows here. As you see, there's a lot of cycles here. These platforms basically only exist if you're carrying the orb, and the orb slows you down. So this is pretty much an auto-scroller section. You can't really optimize a lot here because you have to take the platform cycles as they come. There's some minor optimizations, but we don't have to get into those. We're going to finish up this room by hitting the lever at the top. This raises the statue, and then we can put the orb in there, turn the lights on in this place, and then finally get our dash. And then that really raises the speed of the run as a whole and sets us up for the big sequence break that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, normally this is like the lore section of the game. This was added in the definitive edition and has a lot of long cutscenes that we would have to watch through. But with the aforementioned skips, we can just ignore all of the cutscenes pretty much.
Okay, I'm going to start talking a bit about the sequence break that's going to be coming up shortly. Yeah, so basically you've seen that enemies drop experience, and you may have also seen it's happened already in this run that once you get enough experience to level up, there's a big explosion that deals damage around you and refills your health and energy. Now, in this game there are certain doors called energy doors, and they open once you put in a certain amount of energy, and we are heading over to an energy door that opens once you put 4 energy in, which allows us to sequence break and skip a large portion of fairly slow traversal that's much faster if we do it later in the run. Now we only have 2 energy at this point, so the idea behind it is that we head over to this door, we lure this enemy over, we put the 2 energy that we currently have into the door, then we kill the enemy, level up off of its experience, which refills our energy. We get another 2 energy, which we can then put into the door, netting us a total of 4 energy, and we open the door. And if everything works out, then this allows us to sequence break and basically beeline straight to double jump, which opens up our movement options even further. So yeah, killing the enemy up top, putting the energy in, the level up explosion, another 2 energy, and we're through. Nicely done. Nicely done.
Yeah, this
It's now an
area is
alright
called
time, but
Death
sorry.
Gauntlet. No, this is pretty much a very ramped up point. Oh god, yep. But we're almost through, and then we can hand it off to you again. So after I place a safety save here, we're good. Okay, never mind. I'm not placing a safety save, but we're good anyway. What?
Nice. Okay. Go ahead, Cactus.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to announce that we've just had another donation incentive open up, and that is for the Might and Magic 7 run that's coming up in a couple of hours' time. So if this is met, Zenaras is going to showcase a true any percent run of the game after the full run that they're also doing, and that takes just a fraction of the time of the normal run, completed in under 5 minutes, it looks like, from what I'm seeing. We've got that set at $250, and we've got a couple of runs to get there. So yeah, that'll be really sick if we can help Zenaras show that off. And please do get those donations in across the next few runs. We've got until the end of Zenaras's run, which is going to be coming up a couple of runs after this one. So yeah, let's get those donations in so we can see that.
Sounds awesome. Okay, we're nearing on our next skill. This is double jump. We've technically skipped 1 skill in terms of the normal intended progression, but we'll be picking it up later. This is a Metroidvania, so we'll be backtracking past it anyway. So it's much faster to just do it later, and it doesn't really give us anything that we needed for. There's one there's 1 skip that we'll have to do because of this, but other than that, it's not really hugely impactful. And yeah, now you can see we have double jump, fairly standard Metroidvania power up. Pretty much every Metroidvania has it. Yeah, in Ori, it's just very fluid, like a lot of the movement, and synergizes nicely with the momentum you can get from dashes. And yeah, we're coming up on a small skip here called Grotto Skip, where you can skip a lot of the traversal out of this area. Normally, you're supposed to go left and around. Tuchel is just going to head over left here to pick up these 15 XPs for the aforementioned XP route. And then we're going to be seeing a tight wall jump around here that allows us to skip maybe like a minute of traversal. It's a very tricky jump though, and we get it. Very nice.
Yeah, there's also a variant called Baguette Jump. Shout out to the French part of the Ori community, which is insanely precise to get. I have no idea why it's called Baguette Jump, but it exists. I'm not doing it. I'm not French. So you'll have to head over to one of the French speedrunners to see that.
Yeah. We're seeing a small variation of the already mentioned cutscene skips here, where instead of having to spend an ability point, there is a way to place down a save and then reuse that save if you're standing next to it. So we'll be seeing a lot of that as well, and that allows you to do the same thing. Basically, if you enter a cutscene while you're next to a save you already placed, you can start the cutscene, enter save on the save point again, and then skip the cutscene that way as well. Here we're getting another health. This puts our health total up to 5, which is, I think, also the number we'll be ending the run on. Correct me if I'm wrong. No, that's
Depends
right.
how the Blackroot exit goes. If I get a certain jump or not.
Yeah. All right. And yeah, it just allows us, technically not needed, but it allows us more safety when traversing this world that can, especially in the later game, have some very, very deadly obstacles. There's spikes that deal 3 or 4 or maybe even 5 damage. The 5 damage ones will one-shot us anyway, but it's big. It's a lot of safety and insurance against the other ones. Okay, we're coming up on one of the biggest set pieces of the game, and probably one of the most memorable sequences, the Ginso tree. We picked up the water vein, which is the key to the Ginso tree, down in Grotto, around after we got double jump, and now we're heading over here. And this is just a very, very, very tall tree. It's the first of the 3 dungeons in the game, and I think it's the most memorable one. And it also gives you what I consider Ori's signature skill in Bash, which just totally changes everything about the movement. Yeah, this is like a small dash. That normally you're supposed to push the rock to the right. We can just push to the left and dash through there. Grab this teleporter here to warp back here later once we're done with everything, because this is the closest teleporter to the end of the game. So we'll be using it for that. And now we're heading up and into the Ginso tree.
So I was talking about some tech issues that the Ori community always has in marathon runs. Fun fact, while I was practicing and while I already had the game up and everything, my scroll wheel actually was able to shoot sign shots. For whatever reason, it doesn't do it right now. So if my sign shots are not optimal, that's my excuse.
Yeah, there's a science to like having perfectly to having like the perfect scrolling speed. I've never really figured it out, but then as I said, I'm not much of a speedrunner. I know the run, but I don't have a ton of extensive experience. Yeah, this is the Ginso tree. It's a fairly unique environment, and we're heading up here, showcasing the movement. Yeah, just skipping past these enemies, and then in the middle we're going to get our next skill, which is Bash. And as I said, if you've played the game, you'll definitely remember Bash. It's, I think, the most unique ability this game has, and it's super fun to use in conjunction with the other movement skills in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. A very vertical kind of dungeon. The double jump that we just got. Like this area, this game always has a tutorial area for all the skills you get, and this is definitely the double jump tutorial, combined with some puzzles that are very easily breakable. So we're just breaking all of them pretty much.
Yeah, this is like one of the few combat segments. As you can see, combat is not exactly riveting in this game. But yeah, we do have to kill this mini boss to advance in this dungeon. Doesn't really do much, just spawns, shoots, and then disappears again, and we have to get shots in while it's there. The combat got a lot better in Ori 2. Ori and the Will of the Wisps, but yeah, this game is purely focused on movement, and the movement's great. So don't be turned off if the combat seems a bit subpar.
Yeah, someone who personally... Whoops. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're just collecting some keystones here, and they're going to be opening the door that heads to our next skill tree, where we get the much talked about Bash.
Yeah. Yeah, I was about to say I am personally not a combat enjoyer, so I do like Ori 1 more than Ori 2. But there are also in Ori 1 later skills that just greatly enhance our combat abilities, and we also mentioned that we skipped one of the abilities, and that was one of the combat abilities.
And here's Bash. Bash allows you to grab onto enemies, projectiles, and certain elements in the environment and launch off of them, shooting Ori in one direction and and the element into the other, and it's just like such an awesome traversal ability. It gives you so much air control, and yeah, it just like we said, it like totally changes how basically everything works. Enemies aren't like things you avoid anymore. Instead, you use them to gain momentum off of them, and that's like super awesome. We're setting up for a glitch here called key dupe, where we collect 3 keystones, and then we place them into the door and die while they are in the door. While our save point, I think Tukul missed it there. While our save point is at a point where the door is not loaded, and if we do that, the game gets confused and places the keystones back into the world to collect again, while still keeping them into our in our inventory. And this basically allows us to generate three free keystones out of thin air that will allow us to skip other keystones later in the run. So yeah, that was a successful key dupe, as you saw in the top right, before the UI was gone again. We now have the 3 keystones we had when we died, but there's still the keystones are still around here again to pick up. So instead of the 4 that we were supposed to be on and that were supposed to be spent on this door, we still have 3 left now, and that allows us to skip a couple of very long sections that because we have additional keystones this way.
Yeah, and here comes the part that you all donated for. So instead of taking the teleporter to the right here, we are going up. And I'm gonna place the save here just to make sure that I actually have the correct setup in terms of XP. It's definitely a good sign that I haven't leveled up yet. And yes, 16 XP is perfect because the enemy above that I need to kill gives me 45 XP. So we will level up off of this little frog here.
This is another skip that involves leveling up of a specific enemy. This time we don't really care about the health and energy refills. We care about the damage that the level up explosion deals, because it allows us to break this bramble on the right as well as the one on the left, and allows us to skip a puzzle in the right room. It also teleports us over there, and then now because we've eliminated both brambles, we can now immediately start the Ginso escape, and we're turning up the volume because this is one of the best music tracks in the game. I don't think anyone will argue with that assessment, even though music is a hotly debated topic in the Ori community, and we're fleeing the rising water here to get to the top of the Ginso escape. Yeah, just letting the music speak a little for itself, because it really is awesome. Shoutouts to Gareth Coker for composing an amazing soundtrack to this game.
And shoutouts to everyone who donated to help get it met. Really glad we got to see this.
Yeah,
there is that
thanks
bonus
everyone.
True any % run coming up for Might and Magic 7 in a couple of runs' time. So if you want to see more cool extra treats for us that the runners are prepared, do make sure you get those donors in for that. Thank you.
Yeah, and this is the only time we will hopefully see some text boxes, because otherwise we just awkwardly stand here for 20 seconds and get soft locked. So the one and only time.
Yeah, this is the one point where having the UI on is faster than having it off. And now we're in the swamp area, and this is where the routes reunite. The normal all skills route doesn't actually do the Ginso escape. It instead leaves the Ginso tree after getting bash and skips into here. Saves about 45 seconds to a minute, but I think that's a worthy time loss to take for such an amazing sequence. And thanks again for everybody who donated so that we could show it off. This is our next skill, Stomp. It fairly self-explanatory what it does. Allows you to stomp down, generate speed while moving down and breaking floors. And it's going to be useful. Well, it's not super useful. It helps a bit. But it's like not one of the premier movement skills in this run. But we are running all skills, so we have to collect it. And yeah, now we're heading basically across the whole map. This is the rightmost point of the world map, and we're heading to the leftmost point, where we will be collecting the final few skills before we finish out this run.
Yeah, as mentioned, we normally go in another way, and that way we have an easy way out. This time, though, we need to have a very precise way out, and I'm gonna actually make a backup here, because I sometimes get the timing wrong, and we use an ability cell here that I otherwise need, so I need to make sure that I have that.
Yeah, so basically what we're skipping here is a wall that would require Charged Flame, which is the skill that we skipped with our big sequence break. But doing some fancy mid-air saving with a save anywhere, which warps you down when you spawn back in, allows you to stomp this floor underwater and get out get out anyway, which you otherwise would not be able to do. And yeah, you might recognize this area. We've been through here once already. We're as we said, Metroidvania, so there is a bit of backtracking involved, and we'll be heading to the left side of the map. Now we'll be picking up the Iron Charge Flame that we skipped earlier along the way. Another skill that's not super useful, but it's all skills, so we need to collect it. And actually, this one is kind of useful because it locks a lot of the ability tree behind it. We haven't really been leveling up a ton because we can't. There's a skill that we kind of want to level up, but it requires you having Charge Flame. So once we do have Charge Flame, it allows us to get other skills that are gated behind it, like Air Dash and Charge Dash, and we'll be seeing those make an appearance once we finally pick up Charge Flame that we skipped earlier in the run.
Yeah, fun fact, this game has one pit of spikes that deals 999 damage, or 9,999, and that was just right below me. So that safety save is absolutely necessary because these spikes just insta-kill you. And here is a blue wall that we need to break from the right side using Stomp. Those normally are required to be broken with the skill we are about to pick up, so we're about to head to get that. And I actually got the Frunky down here this time, so that's really nice.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that in practice. Yeah, and now that we have Charge Flame, we can finally level up the third ability on the cyan tree, as you can see here, and that gates Air Dash and Charge Dash behind them, which are super powerful movement options that really unlock the late game movement. Here we're doing another save anywhere to skip a long cutscene, and now we have Air Dash, and yeah, pretty self-explanatory what it does. Charge Dash will explain once that one comes up, but yeah, Air Dash just allows you to dash in the air, just increases your mobility further.
Yeah, there's the most intense 5 minutes of the run coming up, so I'm gonna try and concentrate for that while Liftoff tries to explain everything I'm doing.
Yeah, so this is heading into what the community calls the left side of the map. This is where like the damage really starts ramping up, where spikes where basically every enemy does 2 damage, every spike does 3 damage, so you really have to be on point with your movement here. Normally in a casual playthrough you'd have like, I don't know, 8 health or 8 health, 9 health at this point, and we are on 5, so we really don't have a lot of mistakes that we can make. Yeah, we're heading up the right side here. There's another ability cell that we're normally you can get in here just by stomping a bird next to it. The shockwave breaks the wall. This is, I think, the only wall in the game to which this applies. Nobody really knows why. There's another ability cell we're picking up here. Again, things we'll be using to level up for certain skips, and we'll point that out once it comes up. And now we have Charge Dash. And Charge Dash is a super powerful movement option. It basically allows you to, instead of dashing horizontally, it allows you to dash to home in onto enemies. It's much faster than a dash or an air dash. It costs an energy, but there are ways to refund that energy that you don't actually lose it. And yeah, it also deals a lot of damage. So it's going to be showing up in the one remaining combat section of the run as well. Yeah, and this is the only skill in the game that we don't actually get on a skill tree. It's Glide, Kuro's Feather. Again, fairly standard Metroidvania upgrade. It allows you to glide in the air, slows your descent, and also allows you to ride wind currents. Normally, wind currents don't exist until you do a dungeon called Forlorn Ruins, but we completely skipped that one because we are just going to be skipping into an area that allows us that's normally only supposed to be accessible after you've done that, so the wind currents in there are always active, so we just have to skip in there, and then we can use the wind currents even though we never technically unlocked them. Yeah, and this is where another tech comes up, and it's pretty awesome. It's called a rocket jump. Woo! And it's basically just a charge dash that you then cancel with a jump input, and then so the game never decelerates you from your charge dash speed, and it allows you to gain massive heights if you have an enemy above you. And now we're coming up on what is probably the hardest trick in the run, and it's called Sorrow Bash, where you manipulate these birds here to get early access into this area, where you normally are supposed to glide up, have wind currents here, and that you glide up with a feather. And as you can see, no wind currents there, so there's some complex birds manipulation, and it might take a couple of attempts because this is a very, very precise trick. Yeah. So what Tuchel is doing here is like trying to set up the two birds so that they're in the correct spot, bash this bird off to the right, and then head over there and allow the sequence break past the spikes. That was so close. But yeah, the spikes do one-hit kill the birds, so you have to be very, very precise with your positioning. And there we go. GG. That's a very, very tough trick. Nicely done.
Nice.
And
really impressive. Yeah, that was cool.
And as you can see, we have a lot of wind currents here. This is basically the place where you're supposed to learn how to navigate using the wind currents. But they're always active here, even though we never technically activated them, and we can just float around with our feather. Here we're going to get what is technically supposed to be the last skill in the game. We still have 2 more left. We're getting this one a little bit early. This one's very powerful. It's called Charge Jump. It allows you to charge up a jump, gain additional height, and also break ceilings. Yeah, it doesn't feature a ton of use, but it allows us to get one big skip to the top of the world here, where we're going to be collecting this dungeon key to the final dungeon of the game, where we also end the game. So there's no skipping that one. And this trick is called a Terra Break, and it's another one that involves like leveling at points where you're not allowed to level. So basically, what you do is you save mid-air via leveling an ability directly under a ceiling, and then you die while charge jumping, and then upon respawning, your charge jump hitbox is preserved for a couple of frames, and you respawn directly under the ceiling, so the ceiling breaks, and you just get through instead of going around. Saves like, I think, a minute or so. And yeah, we're just floating up to the top of the world here to get the final dungeon key in the Sunstone. And after that, we're just going to be collecting 2 skills that we really don't need, but it's all skills. So we do have to pick them up. Yeah.
Yeah, I need a bit of quiet to hear Q here. Yeah, that little jingle you could hear at the end means that I got the dungeon key, and if I save before that, then we skip the cutscene, but I also don't get the dungeon key, and that locks me out of getting it. So that would be terrible. So I just made sure to really save at the correct position.
Yeah, it's another one of those cutscenes that you really want to skip, because I think it's like 70 seconds or something long. So yeah, it's very impactful in a run that's like around 30 to 40 minutes long. You definitely don't want to be losing 70 seconds on a random cutscene.
Yeah, despite what we make it look like, this game actually has a whole lot of lore, and we just try to skip all of it, pretty much.
This is Misty Woods. This is like where the movement really shines. We'll just let you appreciate what's going on. And Cactus, maybe if you have some donations, this would be also a good time, because like not a lot is changing right now in the run. So we'll just appreciate some movement, and you can talk about some donations that we've maybe received.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, really great showcase so far. I'd just like to take a moment to talk a bit more about Point of Pride for anyone who's just joining us. This Archiethon, we are raising money to support Point of Pride, who are an organization whose mission it is to help trans youth and adults access the necessary and life-saving health and wellness services that they need. So through their work, they've awarded over $4 million to trans folks in need across their financial aid programs, and they provide that support in 127 different countries. You can check out their website for more information, and of course, do keep those donations rolling in to help fund their work. One of the things that your donation could be going towards help fund is Zenaras doing a true any percent run showcase at the end of their any percent run. That'll be coming up after the Might and Magic 7 run in a couple of hours' time. And if we meet that, Zenaras is going to show off a true any percent speed run after the regular any percent NMG run. So the regular run is scheduled to take around 50 minutes. This true any percent run, only 5. So it'll be really cool to see what kind of wild glitches and skips we get showcased there. So do get those donations coming in to see that showcase, and of course to help support the amazing work that Point of Pride are doing. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, we just picked up Climb here. It's a skill that basically does what it says. It allows you to climb walls instead of jumping up them. The applications are fairly narrow, and it's pretty redundant. It livens up the randomizer because sometimes you don't have wall jump, you have climb instead. But like in the vanilla game, it's like not super impactful. But it is all skills, and we have to pick it up, and it allows us to showcase the amazing movement that you can do through this area. You're seeing a lot of charge jumps here that are basically just gaining height and then charge dashes to chain between enemies and move as fast as possible. All of these spikes here also deal 3 damage, so more than one mistake is a death sentence basically. So you really got to be careful navigating these late game areas. Yeah, technically at the end of this you get a dungeon key to the dungeon we skipped. We're not going to be even picking that up. You just have to get to the end of the area to be able to leave, because it's like kind of like a Lost Woods situation in Zelda where the layout shifts as you hit certain points. So we have to hit the trigger point for the layout to return to the starting layout again so we can leave, and that's going to be achieved once we kill the mini boss that we're just basically approaching on. That's going to be the final combat segment of the run. It's just over here. And yeah, after that we just have one more skill to pick up, Grenade, and then we'll be heading to the final dungeon to finish out the game.
Oh, thank goodness. I was kind of scared I didn't get the level up. The level up here is kind of important to refill our health and energy, because we spent a lot of energy moving through the area, and I also do it to put down a bunch of safety saves. I kind of need some energy to get back out quickly, so that level up is also the last timed level up, since we also need that ability point that we get to skip the last long cutscene that we are approaching now.
Always a relief at the end of a run like this when the XP route works out. It usually works out, but sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes you pick up unintended XP or miss some XP that you were counting on. So it's always a nice thing when it works out the way you want it to. We're returning to the very start of the game and going back into Blackroot Burrows. This is where you pick up Grenade. Yeah. You need to break a floor, so we do need Stomp for it. So we're coming back now once we have all the other skills. So it's just going to be a quick jaunt down there, skipping another 70-second lore cutscene, and then we're out of here, and we'll be teleporting over to that teleporter that we picked up just below the Ginso tree to head to the end of the game.
Oh, that was scary.
Yeah.
These lasers are all, yeah.
Yeah, these lasers here, they do also one-shot you, so you have to be careful. No amount of HP is going to save you there. This is our final save anywhere. Skipping the aforementioned 70-second cutscene here and picking up the final skill tree of the run.
So, as I mentioned before, Dash was added in the definitive edition, and so was this. So this is also in another lore section of the map where we kind of learn about a character we will see right at the end of the run, who is kind of introduced as a major figure to Ori. But yeah, we will only see her right at the end, literally the last few inputs.
Yeah, heading back out past this laser, and then heading to the nearest teleporter to warp over to where we can head over to Mount Horu to initiate the final sequence of the game. And yeah, this is just basically over here. There's a boulder, but we have so many skills at this point that we can just easily skip it. Don't have to care about it really. And we're heading over there, and it's just heading into Mount Horu, skipping all of Mount Horu, and doing the final escape sequence.
Yeah, if you've been wondering how we are so close to finishing the run, if you've looked at the estimate and you have played the game casually, yeah, we're not doing Mount Horu. I think doing one single input saves 7 minutes or something there, because we just don't do the final dungeon at all.
Almost as big a time save as prologue skip.
Yes.
Yeah, so the trick we've been talking about is something we call door warp. Basically, you enter this dungeon through a door, and all the doors in this game have the property that if you enter them on the first frame after loading in, they put you somewhere else. And in this case, if you do it on the exit of the door, where Ori basically is just standing here now, so the game auto-saves you, which is very nice. So we just load in and try to hit the first frame of loading in, and if we hit it, which we do, we just basically warp to the end of the dungeon and we skip all of it. And now we're in the final escape sequence. Once we finish this, it's just another cutscene that it's just another small cutscene with a couple of inputs, and then we're calling time. This one has an angry bird chasing us for lore reasons. If you played the game, you know why. But yeah, we're just trying to not get caught here. Because there are a lot of instant death hazards here. There's lava, there's very hot water, there's spikes, so we have to be careful.
This escape sequence an alright time for me to come in with a couple of announcements?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. We've had a couple of donations come through. That's $17 from Corarium that says, more Archiethon please, and that's going towards the true any % run mentioned earlier. We've also had $20 come in from Nobody44444 that says, never seen anything about this game before. I might have to check out a run that doesn't skip the fields. But I still enjoyed this run so far, and helping my fellow trans siblings is also great, so here, have $20. Thank you very much, both of you, for those donations. Really appreciate that.
Nice. Tuchel just hit a frame perfect input there called a grenade jump, which skips like half of the final cutscene. So we're closing in on time fairly quickly. It looks a bit weird here because we skip basically a sequence where we are slowed down and have to walk right to hit a trigger, because we just skip over it and hit the trigger instantly. And now we're seeing the character Tuchel mentioned. This is Naru. She's very important for the lore. And at the beginning of the prologue, you play her as her, and here it wraps around where you do the final inputs as Naru again. We're doing Naru hops because obviously you have
Time.
to. Biggest time save in the game, and time.
Yep. So optimally, each of these jumps loses 2 frames. So I just like to end very optimal. But yeah, with the run being over, I want to do a few shout-outs. First of all, Liftoff, thank you for hopping on with me to commentate this awesome run. And then secondary, I also want to give a massive shout-outs to the entire Ori community. I've joined over COVID. I've joined during one of the tournaments, and it's been super welcoming since then. We have a lot of fun on the server. We also have a randomizer for both our games, which honestly, with this game being 10 years old this year, and the second game also being 5 years, the randomizer is a major factor as to why the community is still active. You can find that one on orirando.com. And the Will of the Wisps randomizer is also located at wotw.orirando.com. So both games have them. We also have some competitive seats for both of them. And it's just really fun overall. And yeah, as said before, I want to shout out Rin and Ronnie, who did the All Skills race 3 years ago on Archiethon that I commentated. And without that, I wouldn't be here. So yeah, shout outs to them.
I don't really have anything to add other than thank you for inviting me to do the commentary. It was a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to the future runs that are going to be happening here on Archiethon. And I'm very proud to be helping such an amazing cause.
Great. Thanks so much, both of you, for that. And we will be transitioning back to the intermission screen in just a moment then, and I can then let you know what we've got coming up after this. So yeah, thank you so much, Liftoff and 2Kill, for that showcase. That was really sick. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, how is everyone doing? Wasn't that a great showcase? And again, thanks to everyone who got those donations in. That meant that we could see the waterfall sequence. That was really cool, getting to see more of the game and experience more of that soundtrack, as our runner and commentator were mentioning as well. So yeah, if you are new in joining us, welcome along to Archiethon. So we're doing a speedrunning marathon hosted within the Celeste community, where we showcase other speed games and unique Celeste categories that aren't part of the main leaderboards. Do drop the follow to check out our regular Celeste content, which includes bingo tournaments, races, task premieres, and other special events as well. You can also find us on Blue Sky and join that Discord too. But yeah, thanks very much. Next, we are going to have Haste, and Haste is going to be an all bosses co-op race. Really excited to see what that's about. Not very familiar with that game myself, so looking forward to it. And then after Haste, we are going to get Might and Magic 7 any percent NMG by Xenoras. And as I've been mentioning, that is something that we do currently have a donation incentive open for. If we can get to $250 on that incentive by the end of Xenoras's run, they're going to be showcasing a true any percent run at the end of the No Major Glitches. So that takes just a fraction of the time, 5 minute long, full run. Really excited to see that. I have seen Xenoras has been in the chat talking about it as well, so I really do hope that we can get there and have that showcased. Coming up after that, we have the Elephant Collection, and then Super Metroid and Fury later on as well. So lots of cool things coming up. If you've been having a look at the schedule, which you can see at archiethon.com, if there's a run coming up that you're looking forward to, let me know. Send in a donation. Tell me what you're excited to see across the weekend. I'd love to hear. But yeah, thanks everyone for all the donations and for joining us so far. It's been really great. Yeah, we got Haste coming up soon, so I'm excited for that. Let me tell you a bit more about Point of Pride. So the heart of Point of Pride's mission is to provide powerful affirmation for trans people. They serve the members of the community who face the biggest challenges in accessing the care that they need, taking an equity-based approach in their work to address the failures of unequal levels of privilege and access. Point of Pride's programs create transformative changes for the recipients of their care, extending beyond the direct services that they provide. And through this, they foster trans joy, celebrating resilience, beauty, and power of the people that they serve. For more information, do check out pointofpride.org to read more about that work. And please do keep those donations coming in so that we can help fund the amazing things that Point of Pride are doing. Thanks so much for everyone getting stuff in so far. We have passed the $200 mark just in that last run there, which is really, really exciting to see after these first couple of runs we've had today. So yeah, thanks so much for that. Let's keep it going and see if we can get that true any % run met by the end of the Xenaras's Might and Magic 7 run.